So resume. I just ended. We are substances, since unlike for Spinoza, we are the causes of our existence and even of our actions. Before they had the proof of the prime mover and necessary existent. In a way, I wonder if you can actually stop the series, both of them, in ourselves. Uh, okay, so this is page 9 or 25. Again, I'll try and read fast. Uh, I'm having trouble with my voice. I'll try and finish this. At least it's gonna be shorter than I thought. Okay, so space and time do exist in the world. They can be defined empirically, not a priori, since we know the speed of light, source Einstein. That might be repetitive. My note: he used a simple relation between speed and space and time, and using the known speed of light. Really only defined them in our mind's outer sense, not in the world, since he believed that the speed of light is independent of the relative speed of the observer and object, though it is often a good approximation on Earth, since the speed of light is so fast. Have a necessary existence according to a cause, and a necessary existence according to essence, source of Avicenna. A necessary existence according to essence has no cause. If it causes another to exist, then it may be necessary existence according to essence. When what has possibility in it must occur if in eternity has passed. So the world is so if the world is eternal, it must have occurred. Source Aristotle. God is simple and so cannot be composite, since if it would be since it would not be eternal, since the components can be separated. St. Anselm. The prime mover is incorporeal, Aristotle, etc. Also Aristotle. Also Maimonides. The prime mover is separate from the world, Maimonides. Source. The necessary existence according to essence is incorporeal, source Maimonides, etc. Incorporeal means not a body or a force in a body, like a soul or something. The soul is incorporeal, since an organ cannot perceive itself, source of Eros. My note, but what if you use a sort of mirror question mark? I think, therefore I am, source Descartes. I am, therefore a universe exists, source Descartes, Beaton, author. The universe is partly in space and time, since speed is related to space and time, and we use the speed of light to define time, but we also have beings, each with a faculty of reason which is outside of time. Source Einstein, Beaton, author. This philosopher sometimes reasoned fallaciously by using binary logic question mark from the time of Aristotle to the time of Kant question mark. But Aristotle knew that the proposition a ship will return home tomorrow is not true or false only. He was mostly interested in science or logical demonstrations or proving necessary truths. Logic is not only all cases or no cases. So in the antinomy that the thesis may apply to some beings and the antithesis apply to other beings, source Beaton, or it is not true or false, it could be maybe. We do not know. In the four antinomies of cosmology, we must use our faculty of apperception and a faculty of reason for the thesis instead of our perception. So we bypass our faculty of intuition, which presents all things to us in space and time. So the series to the unconditioned is outside time, and the minor and major are both outside space and time. So this series must end, since a series can only be infinite in time. For the antithesis, we must use our faculty of perception and our faculty of understanding, so the series is in time. Common syllogism is valid only for apperception, since for perception the series may not end. Only the four theses are proven to be true, therefore there are no contradictions. The former is true for those with a faculty of reason, the latter proof for those without it is dismissed. Source Beaton. Antimony 1. Creation of the world versus eternity. A necessary being exists as part of the world in time, while outside of it by Antimony 4. And free will exists for being in time but acting outside of time, or being existing outside of time by Antimony 3. So creation may be possible, but some elements of the world may be eternal and hence not created, according to Antimony 2. According to Aristotle, what is possible must occur if an infinite time has passed. So there was a creation of part of the world, since if there wasn't, then eternity has passed and the possible did not occur. According to Maimonides, if creation was proven, then it would prove that God the Creator exists and all the miracles are possible. Only a necessary being, first cause or unconditioned, cannot be created nor perish. Since according to Aristotle, what has possibility in it must come about in finite time. To be the creator, you must be eternal and hence be necessary existent. According to essence, so you have no other causes for your existence. You must be intelligent, since the created universe is very great. You must be very powerful and you must be free, so you are also a first cause of action. That's the creator must be God, who exists and is the necessary existent. Source Beaton. God is the ideal. Source Kant. My critique of Kant. God may not be the ideal, but only ideal relative to us. That is the supreme being, not necessarily the perfect being. Indeed, unlike Aristotle, Spinoza, etc., for Hegel, God was a being in an eternal process of development to a higher level. Perhaps he revolutionized metaphysics. Before that view, Kant argued that we are free, immortal, and that God exists. Since morality requires free will, we have a conscience, and moral perfection requires an eternal struggle. And we need God to ensure that in morality there is just distribution of rewards and punishments. After Hegel, even Darwin, who did not believe in the creation of the world nor of man, saw human beings and even animals as evolving to higher and higher levels of being by a process of natural selection, random mutations, crossovers, and survival of the fittest. So 1. We have proven that a necessary being according to essence, which Kant said could not be done. We have proven that necessary being according to essence exists, which Kant said cannot be done. We use the cosmological proof, but with our faculty of apperception, not like Kant, who tried to using the faculty of perception. Source Beaton. My note. We also argued that the potential infinite series is possible, but an actual infinite series is impossible, as Aristotle argued, but contrary to Kant, so the necessary existent exists. So 2, we have proven that the necessary existent according to essence is God, which Kant said could not be done. since he could not define God, but we argue that God is the creator, source Maimonides, Beaton, author. Hence, God exists by one and two, source, Beaton, the author. Antimony 2. Simple elements of the world can be made finite via a process like integration in calculus mathematics. Source Hermann Cohen, the New Kantian, page 12 or 28. Some elements of the world may be divisible to infinity, since the series given in perception is in time and may not end. But some elements may be given to apperception outside time, so the series may end and some elements may be indivisible. Antimony 3. Free will is possible in the world, since being can exist in time, but it acts outside of time, can have hypothetical, imperative, or conditional, if used, faculty of understanding, but also categorical, imperatives, or unconditional, if used, faculty of reason. Series can be infinite since terms vanish, but it can also be finite if outside time. Beaton, the source, the author. Antimony 4. The necessary exists and must exist as the thesis claims as part of the world or outside of it as a cause, since the series is in the faculty of reason is outside time, so it must end. The antithesis in the faculty of understanding is so the series is in the major may not end, so that proof is fallacious. So the first step in proving God exists so first step into proving God exists is continued in the ideal part of the dialectic. Source Beaton. It is necessary to link the necessary being to God. It is God, since it has necessary existence. It must possess the full measure of being. St. Thomas Aquinas, source. Just repeat. God is simple, that is non-composite, whether he is the prime mover or necessary existence, source Maimonides, etc. Mind not, this was before the discovery of the law of inertia for the prime mover, and before Kant's metaphysical revolution that free will does not conflict with the laws of nature. It can occur outside space-time. By the way, there is Einstein's speed limit. On Star Trek, they surpass it by somehow entering subspace where the laws of nature do not apply. Really, the physics of Einstein presupposes that the world is in space-time. He criticized Kant for arguing space and time may only exist in our mind. But there may be places in the world where time may not exist, like Kant believes it does not in our faculty of reason. So, for example, in physics, gravity slows time. According to Einstein, we live in a gravitational field, but time may change instantaneously far from very strong gravitational fields. Einstein believed that gravity slows time in general relativity, so travel in those areas may be faster than light. Even psychologically, Einstein said that time spent with a nice girl goes fast, but sitting on a hot coals, time goes slow. Though that is different. Page 13 or 29. Max Born said that if you consider the faraway stars and the Earth, and by equivalence you have reference frames, the stars actually go faster than the speed of light in general relativity. God is immutable, whether he is the prime mover, Abraham, or necessary existence, Moses, but not the creator. He remains forever completely not changed. Source Maimonides. God is completely separate from the world if he is the prime mover. If God is necessary existence according to essence, then he is uncaused. He may be the cause of the existence of the world, but not be affected by it, since he is immutable, that is unchanging. There is only one God, since if had two gods, they would be composites, since need one thing which makes them the same, plus one thing which makes them different, Maimonides, etc. source. God has no attributes. There is a long, complicated proof of this proposition. Clearly, God has no accidents, since he believes God is immutable, and God was simple, but attributes imply change and a plurality. Maimonides, etc., as the source. God executes no temporal actions. His actions are eternal, since he is immutable and hence outside time, but the world is in time. Source Maimonides. My note, though Kant later saw being outside time in the sense of being immutable, but also in the sense of changing instantaneously. God, or the Absolute, is dynamically changing and is not static. Source Hegel. Dialectical reason or movement involves starting with a proven thesis, then negating it but preserving it in an proven antithesis, and finally joining the thesis and antithesis in a synthesis. Source Fichte. God's mind moves in a dialectical fashion. It is dynamic. Source Hegel. Kant and his predecessors considered a static ontological proof. Source Hegel. He proposes dynamic proof, where the proof involves a movement in the mind towards God. Page 14 or 30. God can be known and proven to exist by a dynamic movement towards God, not via static proof like for Saint Anselm or Descartes, etc. Hegel, my critique of Hartshorne, he may have missed this point. If God is approached as the cause of our existence or the cause of our actions, but via apperception rather than perception, then he can be known by us, since the series of causes being outside time can sometimes end in the first cause. Source Beaton, author. And there are 12 categories. 3 of them are relations. 1, cause-effect. 2, predicate-subject. 3, reciprocity. Source Kant. Number 1, cause and effect. Some beings are necessarily caused to exist, and necessarily caused to think, and necessarily caused to act. Source Aristotle, etc. But some beings may be freely caused to exist, think, and to act. Source Kant. Number 2 is predicate subject. Things exist as modes in the attributes of one substance called God. We are modified necessarily in our existence and in our thoughts and actions. So in a sense, God is a super substance with super attributes, and we are substances with attributes. This substance is in act. Source Spinoza. Maybe it is dynamic and so changing. Source Hegel. We can know God by negation of negating ourselves, and know ourselves and other beings of the world by negation of this negation. All things exist as modifications of the supersubstance. Source Hegel. He was inspired by Spinoza. Number 3, reciprocity or atoms. Feynman, a physicist, said the most important concept discovered in physics was that of the atom. One model is that protons and electrons are attracted to each other and then get equilibrium distribution, or like the cosmos have stability because of inertial motion. So a substance can have independent rather than dependent existence. Newton, Rutherford, Bohr, etc. and it can think and act independently. Source can. And more on this proof of God. The more on Archon's discussion of St. Anselm's ontological proof. Okay, page 15 or 31, January 25, 2024. It's about 20 minutes. Stop here again also.